This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC Cambodia channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. Making headlines tonight. The number of Delta variant cases reaches 1,000 with only 2 Cambodian provinces yet to be infected. Government investigating yet another misappropriation of Angkor Wat, this time on Vietnamese noodles being sold in the US. And Washington continues its anti-China charm offensive in Southeast Asia, with Vice President Kamala Harris visiting Singapore and Vietnam. The Kingdom of Cambodia has now recorded over 1,000 cases of the Delta variant of COVID-19, and most of them are in Phnom Penh. According to the last update from the Ministry of Health, which was on Friday, 999 cases had already been reported. This weekend's numbers have yet to come in. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has a look at those numbers.
It's been barely 3 months since the first case of the Delta variant was detected in Cambodia on the 4th of June. It has now spread to every province in the kingdom, except for Kep and Krochi. Of the kingdom's Delta cases, the majority are in Phnom Penh, which had 238 as of Friday last week. Udar Minche had 176, Bantay Minche 146, and Siem Reap 138. The Ministry of Health says that the Delta variant was first detected among migrant workers returning from Thailand, but has now spread into communities across the country. During Prime Minister Hun Sen's announcement on Thursday last week, ending the 21-day campaign to strengthen measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, he said that over the past 3 weeks, the community transmission rate of COVID-19 had shown a steady decline, even as the number of Delta cases continues to climb. Although ended nationwide, Phnom Penh still continues to implement restrictions, such as a ban on gatherings of more than 15 people, the continued suspension of high-risk businesses, and of alcohol sales. Those measures are due to expire on Thursday, but could well be extended given the number of Delta cases in the capital. At the same time, the World Health Organization's representative to Cambodia, Dr. Lee Ailan, has praised the rapid response of the royal government to the crisis, especially in its swift vaccination program, including the provision of booster shots to frontline workers. She says Cambodia has developed a well-responding strategy and policy focusing on the implementation of effective interventions that all bode well for the kingdom's fight against the pandemic. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
600,000 more doses of Cynofarm have arrived in Cambodia. The vaccines have been donated by the Chinese military and Chinese Red Cross and arrived late on Monday afternoon. 500,000 doses have been donated to the Cambodian Defense Ministry by the People's Liberation Army of China. They were received personally by Defense Minister Tia Ban. An estimated $3 million worth of medical equipment was also donated. Joining the Defense Minister at Phnom Penh International on Monday afternoon was Cambodian Red Cross President Bunrani Hun Sen to receive a donation of 100,000 doses of Cynofarm from the Chinese Red Cross. The new Cynofarm doses will be given to members of the public who are not yet vaccinated against COVID-19. Sinovac is being used for the vaccination of children, and AstraZeneca is being administered as a booster shot for frontline workers. Cambodia has reported its lowest daily number of COVID-19 cases in over 3 months. 410 new cases were confirmed by the Ministry of Health on Monday morning. That is the lowest that number has been since 393 cases were reported back on the 19th of May. Of the 410 new cases, 132 are imported. They take the country's total number of cases to 89,641. New cases are also being outpaced by recoveries into a 4th week now. 537 patients were discharged in the past 24 hours. They take the number of successful recoveries in the kingdom to 85,618. Sadly, though, another 16 deaths were reported on Monday, meaning the country's total COVID-19 death toll now stands at 1,808. The 42nd ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Assembly is underway. It runs for 3 days and will end on Wednesday. It's being held virtually under the theme Promoting Parliamentary Cooperation in Digital Integration. The 3-day virtual conference aims to gather voices of the people of ASEAN in advancing the goals of a single ASEAN community. Cambodia is represented by the President of the National Assembly, Heng Samrin. The Assembly convenes every year to adopt policy initiatives and propose legislative measures dealing with common regional issues. The ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Assembly represents the legislatures of Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. COVID-19 and the post-pandemic recovery feature high on this year's agenda as the region races to vaccinate its populations in the hope of fully reopening regional borders. The Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts is working together with the Ministry of Commerce to conduct an investigation against Vietnamese noodle brand Nam Vang. The name itself is Vietnamese for Phnom Penh. To make matters worse, the noodle's branding also carries an image of Angkor Wat. EAC News reporter Reo Soko dishes up the story.
Photos of Nam Vang noodles have circulated widely on social media, being sold in the U.S. This has prompted the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts to collaborate with the Ministry of Commerce. Spokesperson for the Culture Ministry, Long Pinasirivat, says they have checked with the Apsara Authority about the noodles bearing the Angkor Wat image, and the Apsara Authority says it was news to them. Punasirivat says that if the Ministry of Commerce finds a basis to declare a formal deception against the brand, they will file complaints with international institutions related to the trade and counterfeiting of products using country identity on product labels. He has added that under the Paris Convention, member states are obligated to provide protections against unfair competition. This is the second time in as many years that Angkor Wat has been used illegally to market a foreign food product. Last July, rice exporter Voyage India was forced to stop using the name and image of Cambodia's iconic Angkor Wat temple after complaints from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Now for a look at international news making headlines this Monday, the 23rd of August. US Vice President Kamala Harris is in Singapore on a trip aimed at establishing deeper ties with Southeast Asia. She touched down in the city-state on Sunday for a 2-day visit. She landed exactly a week after Afghanistan's collapse to the Taliban, which has left allies questioning the credibility of US foreign policy promises. From Singapore, Harris travels to Vietnam on Tuesday, becoming the first US vice president ever to visit the country. Washington says her trip aims to counter China's growing influence in Southeast Asia. One official told Reuters this month that the vice president's focus would be on defending international rules in the South China Sea, strengthening US regional leadership, and expanding security cooperation. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has held an emergency meeting over the situation in Afghanistan, calling on the international community to provide humanitarian aid. Initiated by Saudi Arabia, the meeting called for all factions in Afghanistan to reach consensus as soon as possible on the establishment of an inclusive Islamic government. Member states committed themselves to supporting Afghanistan in realizing peace, security, stability, and development, stressing that the international community should provide as much assistance as possible without interfering in the country's internal affairs. The OIC is to send a delegation to the Afghan capital of Kabul to support peace and reconciliation efforts. But it would seem that visit will come too late. Civil war has already erupted in the country, with anti-Taliban fighters retaking territory almost every day. This group claims to have retaken 3 districts close to the Panjshir Valley, where remnants of government forces and other militia groups have gathered. Afghan Defense Minister General Bismillah Mohammadi, who has vowed to resist the Taliban, says parts of the neighboring province of Baghlan have also been recaptured. And 4 miners in northwest China have had a very lucky escape. The roof of the mine they were working in collapsed towards the end of last week, but after a 68-hour rescue operation, they were finally brought to the surface. All 4 have been hospitalized, but are said to be in a stable condition. It was initially thought the 4 had died, but early on Friday morning, rescuers heard a knocking sound from the victims and made contact with them through a drill pipe. Stay with the Daily Roundup here on the EART's Cambodia channel. After the break, a look at your sports news. EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EART's Cambodia's audience is growing. Our YouTube channel now has 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube, given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EART's Cambodia's hard work and incredible achievement. She says not only has EART's Cambodia brought a unique voice and style to the world, but has also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to www.youtube.com/EARTsCambodia. Subscribers get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. We'll see you there. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of EART's Cambodia's platforms and channels: YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eartscambodia.com. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear. The 2020 Paralympic Games get underway on Tuesday, and the Paralympic torch is finally in Tokyo. It's working its way through a series of events rather than stages, with record numbers of new COVID-19 cases in the Japanese capital playing havoc with the torch relay. The torch was supposed to be carried through 5 Tokyo districts on Sunday, but instead, a socially distanced ceremony was held at a construction site for the Kokubunji New City Hall. Similar torch ceremonies will be held before the flame enters the Olympic Stadium during Tuesday night's opening ceremony. Games organizers concede that the Paralympics will be held in the middle of a very difficult situation, with hospitals in Tokyo overstretched as Japan battles its worst wave of COVID-19 infections driven by the Delta variant. Japan has extended its emergency measures in the capital, and the Paralympics will take place generally without spectators, with the exception of school children at some events. Toyota has won the 24-hour endurance race of Le Mans for the fourth year in a row and with a 1-2 finish at the SART circuit. Japan's Kamui Kobayashi took the checkered flag, with teammates Mike Conway of Britain and Argentina's Jose Maria Lopez watching on. The Japanese manufacturer's number 8 car took second position on the podium, with the Alpine A480 Gibson driven by Brazilian André Negrão and French pair Nicolas Lapierre and Mathieu Vazivière completing the podium. The wet start, with 2 extra laps behind the safety car on Saturday, saw plenty of collisions and spins. The most dramatic moment of the race came late on Saturday night. Germany's Sophia Flörsch, part of the all-female crew for the Richard Mille racing team, had her car struck by Argentine Franco Colapinto's G-Drive racing car, causing her to crash into a barrier and rebound onto the track. Just as she tried to recover, she was hit again, but escaped unhurt. This year's Le Mans was the 89th edition of the event and was watched by 50,000 fans. One of the world's most famous boxers has hinted that it might be time to hang up his gloves. Manny Pacquiao was speaking to reporters after his shock loss to Cuban Yordenis Ugar in Las Vegas on Saturday night. It was a unanimous points decision, with the Cuban retaining his WBA welterweight world title. Pacquiao was the more aggressive, but just couldn't land the punches after a 2-year absence from the ring. Ugar was in control for the entire second half of the match, the judges eventually scoring it in favor of the defending champion. They were friends again in the post-match media briefing, but it was clear that the beating had given Pacquiao plenty to think about.
In the future, you may not see Manny Pacquiao again to fight in the ring. I don't know, but for how many decades, I'm so happy with what I have done in boxing. I contribute a record in boxing also, and to make boxing in the top, especially bring honor to my country, the Filipino people. And I'm so proud to be a Filipino and thankful to all the fans all over the world. May the Lord keep you safe, always, especially this pandemic. Thank you to all of you, media, press.
If he does indeed announce his retirement, he'll do so as one of the greatest boxers of all time. He's the only boxer in history to hold world titles in 8 different divisions. All right, let's take a look at what the weather's going to be up to tomorrow. And finally, one of the most beautiful sights you'll see all week. The so-called sturgeon moon rose above Greece on Sunday night, with museums and archaeological sites opened late into the night. It was the Temple of Poseidon that provided the most stunning view of August's full moon. It took barely half an hour for it to sit directly above the ancient temple. Full moons are a big deal in Greece, as they are in other parts of the world, most especially here in Asia. Various cultural events were organized around the country as part of the annual festival to honor the August full moon. A piano concert was held on the terrace of the Acropolis with a view up to the illuminated Parthenon. Moons were often given names by Native American tribes. August's refers to the sturgeon moon due to the fish that were caught during this time in the Great Lakes of North America. In Asia, next month's full moon heralds the Mid-Autumn Festival. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EARTS Cambodia channel. You'll get more breaking news and updates from our website. Head to www.e-artscambodia.com. You can also search for EAC News on Telegram and at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8. I will see you then.